2 years ago, I self-coached myself and dieted down to look the best I'd ever looked at that time. But there were a lot of mistakes I made. Going to the gym 6 days a week, boxing training 5 times a week while eating less than 2,000 calories for over 2 months straight. All of which stacked up to the biggest crash out and had me binge eating at 2 a.m. in the morning. But what I didn't realize at the time was that I was eating too much protein while ignoring the rest of my diet. And once I fixed it and started eating the right amounts of everything, I made my fat loss easier, I made my muscle growth better, and as a result, I was able to compete in a bodybuilding competition the next year and not binge eat after I finished. So in this video, I'm gonna break down why protein may be making your fat loss harder and the 3 core points of your diet to fix so that losing fat and gaining muscle is easier and so that you don't binge out at the end of your cut and lose all your progress. All right, let's go. The foods we eat get broken down into 3 main parts: protein, carbs, and fats. These are called our macronutrients. But everywhere you look online and in the shops, protein is slammed down your throat. High protein recipes, high protein products. Looking back, it was pretty obvious what I was doing wrong. But at the time, I thought it was good to be eating a lot of protein, not realizing that it was making my fat loss harder. Which leaves the question, how much protein should you be eating? Find this out, we need your body weight in kilos. The range I'm about to give you varies from person to person, so once I tell you, listen and think about the kind of person that you are. The typical range for how much protein you should be eating when trying to lose fat is 1.6 to 2.5 grams per kilo of body weight. But depending on the type of person you are, decides where you land in this range. Protein's a very satiating food. It takes longer for our body to break down, so it keeps you fuller for longer. If you are someone that struggles to already eat enough, you would look to go to the lower end of this range. That way you're not eating so much that you always feel full, but you still get enough to maintain and grow muscle while you lose fat. But if you're someone like me who's got a fucking black hole for a stomach, you'd want to push up to the higher end of this range at 2 to 2.5 grams. That way these can help you feel fuller for longer, thinking about food less, and be able to stay within your calories. This was the problem that I had. I was 70 kilos eating up to 250 grams per day. What's that? Over 3 grams? It's fucking cooked. That's what it is. Yes, protein is super important for muscle growth and fat loss, but it has been slammed down our throats. When you're eating too much of it, you're taking precious calories away that would be much better spent on more important things. Which leads me to the other points of this video that ruined my fat loss: your carbs and fats. Both have been demonized in the past, but both are also essential for fat loss and muscle growth. And I completely ignored them because high protein. Carbs are needed so that you can train well and perform in the gym because you're giving your body enough energy to do all those things. And because they also contain fiber. However, we're going to focus on fat first. Fat gets a bad rap because it's nearly double the amount of calories than protein and carbs. But it was the exact thing that I was avoiding, which led me to binge eating at 2 a.m. Fat is basically the building blocks to all your hormones. Things like estrogen and testosterone for men and women to give us energy, as well as keep us in a good mood. But what I didn't realize at the time was how all of this affected my hunger levels because I was so focused on eating as much protein as I could. I would often avoid things that had fat in them because they were higher in calories, not realizing that without enough dietary fat, you tank all of your hormones and cause massive downstream effects. I wouldn't sleep as well, which meant I wouldn't have as much energy throughout the day. So my mood towards dieting was worse, I would perform worse in the gym, and it would take way more willpower to not eat things and stick to my diet. I wasn't taking care of my hormone health by eating enough dietary fat. So by the end of my cut, I always felt hungry and I never felt full, which led further into the binge eating at 2 a.m. So to fix this problem, how much fat should you be eating? Typically, you want 20 to 30% of your total calorie intake to come from fat. But for a real number to use, we need your body weight again. The range for the amount of fat that you'd want to eat floats around 0.6 to 1.2 grams per kilo of body weight. But just like protein, everyone is a little bit different. If you're heavier, you can get away with the lower end of this range. But if you're a bit of a small boy or girl, you're gonna go a little bit higher. For example, I'm at the heavier end at 76 kilos and I'm eating about 50 grams of fat, which is about 0.6. So look to play around with this range and what works best for you. But you do want to make sure that you are eating enough fat because without it, shit mood, shit energy, shit time losing fat. And speaking of shit energy, that leads me to my final point: carbs. Carbs are essential for overall energy throughout the day. Don't let any fucking carnivore bro fool you about that. But they're also super important because of fiber. Since I was eating way too much protein, I wasn't eating enough carbs, and from that, I wasn't able to train as well, and I definitely lost some muscle because of it. But because I was so focused on eating as much steak as I could throughout the whole day, I wasn't fueling myself properly to actually be productive and recover well. So just like everything else in this video, how many carbs should you be eating a day? Because we've already worked out how much protein and fats we should be eating, we just fill the rest of our calories out for the day with carbs. But this is the final mistake I made. I was a bitch. I always had to feel full like I was about to burst and I was 6 months pregnant. If you're losing fat, Stop trying to feel full 100% of the time. It's something I still struggle with, but hunger isn't a bad thing. When you're losing fat, you shouldn't include the lowest calorie, highest volume foods you can every single meal. That's what I did, and I was always left feeling hungry because I wasn't bursting full. Yes, you should still 1000% focus on eating enough fruit and vegetables throughout the day because fiber is super important and needs a whole video for itself, but stop chasing the feeling of being full all the time. Stop force feeding 500 grams of pumpkin and veggies at every meal. Feeling hungry is a good sign. Every time you feel hungry, there's two versions of yourself that you could be. One that complains that you're hungry all the time, or one that says, I'm hungry, which means this is a sign my diet is working. Both experience the same thing, but who do you think's more likely to binge out after? I was the first person that always complained, and we know how that ended. Moral of the story, you don't have to force feed 300 grams of protein every single day because those calories would be better spent trying to eat more carbs and fats to properly fuel your fat loss. Hopefully this video has been useful and given you some actionable steps to walk away with and implement into your diet to start making your fat loss easier. There's also more simple tips in the description below so that your fat loss does not have to feel like the bane of your existence. But if you're just starting out with your fat loss and you aren't completely sure what to do, this video explains everything I wish I did when I started 5 years ago. So make sure you watch it.